Let's see how we can do this. So, thanks, guys. Let's kick things off with just a little bit of what we're doing and why we're here and how our summer was so far. So, I'll go. I'm Josh. I'm a software developer in Ontario, Canada. I'm working in Elixir currently right now. I'm in the sports industry, so, everything to do with sports. I was a TPM prior to being a dev in this role, and I've been doing this for 18 years or so. I quite enjoy it. Anyone want to go?
Yo, I'll go. You already know who it is. It's Matt here. You've seen me on YouTube. Now you're seeing me on your podcast for real. I've been pushing production code in one way or another since 2014 and been writing code ill advised for longer than that. So, my promise to you guys is if we make it to 10 episodes, I'll share my crazy life story of how I got to where I am now because it's been an interesting
Everyone would be so interested.
yeah, so there's your teaser, guys. Stick around for 10 episodes. Yeah, and I'll kick the mic to Luis.
Hello, guys. I'm here talking in Brazil. Been delivery code for 13 years now, I guess. Currently working as a staff software developer on the sports industry. And yeah, it's pretty damn hot right now. So if you see me sweating, it's not because I'm nervous. It's because it's so freaking hot.
Yeah, it's gonna be summer for you there, I think. Spring?
Yeah, it's started. It's the beginning of spring. Yeah,
Oh, well, we're
it's
getting
possible
cold,
to
you're
see
getting
some
warm.
flowers on the horizon, like on the top of the trees. It's pretty nice too. Pretty nice view.
Well, it's fall up here in North America, and I even saw a leaf fall in
Oh,
real time this morning. So,
yeah, the leaves have been falling around here for quite a while. And they're not
yeah.
gonna fall anymore, because this is an interesting segue. Yesterday, they cut down the tree in front of my house. I got a knock on the
Oh,
door. Can you move your car? We're cutting down your tree. I don't have a tree anymore. So that's
That's a
fun.
bummer.
That is a bit of a bummer.
I don't want.
and it's not your
So,
decision. That's the
no,
funny
it
part.
is it's a townhouse, so it's like, okay, I no longer have a tree. Great. Perfect. So
You
how's
know
the
what they
rest
say,
of your
Josh?
stuff? Hmm?
Nature finds a way.
I don't know. I don't know. This is the property management finding a way for us. So thanks, guys. How's your summer's been? Like, I haven't seen you guys for a couple months. How's it been? At least it's more
Josh,
fall,
I
but
saw you 2 days ago.
yes, thanks so much for that one. But I haven't interacted with you guys so much since like June. How's your summer been?
Well, we've been working on some pretty crazy integrations at work.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it was some like tight deadlines to deliver the full features. So being very busy at work, didn't have much time to work on personal stuff lately. But I've been trying to since I think since the beginning of the year we haven't talked too much, even when we work together, Josh. Like since I moved into the new city, I've been trying to put some time to do some cycling. So there's a lot of trail. I lived here almost my whole life. Only the past 5 years I was in São Paulo. Right now I'm back, so the trails are pretty much the same. I still see like the schedules of the people going out to do the off roads. They're almost the same since I left. So it's pretty fun to see the same behavior around that thing that I did for a long time.
Nice, nice. That's always fun. Always
Yeah.
fun.
And you,
That's
Matt?
good.
Yeah, so I've had a very busy summer out of work as well. Just got married in the spring. My wife and I just bought a house, just got the keys the other day. First time foray into home
Woo-hoo.
ownership. So I'm
Nice, very
officially
nice.
legit now. So yeah, the next month is going to be hectic as all hell, just trying to get everything out of here, get moved in the new house, deal with all that stuff. So
Nice, very nice. Congrats on the home ownership again. It's fantastic until taxes and
and you get
maintenance
that
and all that
knock on
good
the
stuff.
door about your tree, and then all bets are off.
Yeah,
It's
it's
all
all downhill
about
from
it's all
there.
about being positive these days.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. Well, my summer was kind of interesting. So, as you both know, I got laid off and then spent a month
Yay.
rediscovering myself and doing some personal learning and all that fun things. And I've started recently at a firm in Toronto doing content creator work. We're making like a platform for engaging viewers for the content creators, allows them to participate in games and just events that the creators can put on and interact with their viewers. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting. It's been uh, a challenge getting back into development after not doing it for 3 years. It was a bit of a learning curve again, just like thinking in terms of like code and not just looking at how the code executes and what the outcome is like actually thinking about those problems deeply. And yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, and check you out creating content right now. So
Yeah, exactly. So I'll
you
just, use my platform later on.
you can rub elbows with the content creators and be like, guys, take it from me. I know
Yeah,
what's up.
yeah.
So
I know.
okay,
I
so
know what
Mike,
these guys need.
so Josh, I'm curious from your perspective because you were a dev for God knows how long, and then you transitioned into the TPM role. You did that for a good solid couple of years, 2, 3 years, something like that,
Just
and
about three.
now you're back on the dev side, and you're having to deal with PMs of maybe not such the T variety, but you're on the other side of things, and once again, so I don't know, how is the different role like? How's that change your perspective? What hits different this time around? And yeah, just kind of curious.
Mm, I think I'm able to relate more to both sides. Like I can see the pains from the development team of not quite getting what they want in terms of like a requirements document, and then I can see the pains from like the PM side of things as well, where the devs might not be engaged enough, they might not be forthcoming with information, they could be unrealistic expectations on that PM. So I can see both sides. It makes me more appreciative of what is involved with being a PM. Like the devs may not be appreciating of that, but like from that other side, knowing what's involved, what the deadlines are, what the requirements are for those deadlines, there's yeah, I can relate to both now for sure.
And then getting back into writing code in now the era of the LLM, let's call it, right? Because
Yeah,
you got out of the code role pretty much when Chat GPT was still a novelty. It's like you go to a browser, you type some things in, but no one's claiming that this workflow is something you need to adapt to or get out of the industry. And now you hear crazy stuff like that. So have you do you feel like you had to learn all over about how the day to day works, or
um, I would say it's more about how to integrate this flow with a previous like development flow. So prior to ChatGPT and this new paradigm, I did all myself, look up things I don't know on Google Stack Overflow, that sort of thing. But now it's more like it's kind of turned into like a product engineer role where you're doing a lot of the product definitions at a more technical level yourself, and then you're like putting that in and finessing output from the LLM assistant tool, whatever we want to call it. So there's a lot more work that you have to do ahead of time in order to output something that you're not just going to throw away. If you're coming in and saying, "Hey, I want this to do X, Y, Z, and I want it to do it right the first time with proper tests," like forget about it. That's attempt number one. Just throw it away and start over again. So it's challenging in that I can't just code. I mean, I can, but my output is nowhere near the velocity of what the tool can output. So I'm almost forced into like using it to keep what the expected output velocity is. It feels like it could be a self-defeating cycle because the more you use it, the harder it gets to use it because it becomes more spaghettified. That's not even the right word, but the next session of that agent is like, I'm going to do things differently. So it's a bit of a challenge.
and most of the code base that you're working in now is pretty greenfield, right? It's not like, hey, here's a code base that's been around for a long time and it's kind of calcified. Like you're in a place where you guys are just, hey, you were telling me the other day, like you added a whole huge feature in like 2 weeks or something, or 10
Yeah,
days, or you know.
yeah, it's very much greenfield. I'm pretty sure if I was to look at the commit history, it starts in February. And then that was the first few games that were implemented. And now, yeah, like you said, I did a feature in 2 weeks, pure API feature, but that's like a full feature with, it works. It's live. It's being used right now. So like it's doable. It's just, there's a lot of stress towards the end of those days of getting it out where it's like, okay, there's a bug. I know that it needs to be fixed. And then I have this tool. It's like, I'm going to do this. That didn't work. I'm going to do this. That didn't work. I'll go back to that thing that I did the first time and try it again. And like you said, the 3 strikes thing. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
I have a question. Like you said, you had to like come back to code. Obviously, that a lot of things changed from 3 years from now from the languages you had domain back there and the language and how you domain the language right now. So like when you knew you were about to get hired for this position, um, how you got back from studying? Like, did you bought a book? Did you like went to some place to like find exercises to test uh, your understanding of the language right now?
Mhm.
How was that
So
process for you?
yeah, so actually I used Claude, if I'm being honest with you. I said, hey, Claude, I'm starting a job in like a week and a half. I need a crash course in Elixir. I've been a TPM for 3 years, dev for 18 years before that. Let's start at the beginning. Don't make it too junior, but don't make it so that I have to be an expert to understand what you're talking about. So went through that. We started at the beginning. Here's functional programming. Here's how Elixir works. We went into gen servers. Went down into Phoenix. So I had to do multiple steps per day. It was like a 5-day course. Yeah, it worked pretty good. It gave me examples to work through. It seemed to be okay. Like coming in on day one, I could look at that code base. Like I could look at that code base from before and still like understand. But coming in after 3 years and then being able to just like look and be like, okay, this is how they're doing things. It seemed to work out fine. So I would recommend
Yes.
that. And in fact, I've done it for something else as well too. I did it for my son. Made some math work for him, and it's just like kind of like on-demand tutor, I guess, if you will.
Okay, so here's
So
my question for you on that real fast is
Yeah.
what made you decide to go do Claude on that instead of any of the boys in the chat? Like most of us were all working in Elixir, are pretty deep in the ecosystem. I feel like if I was in the same position as you, I would have been like, guys, somebody help me like come up with the checklist of what I need to cover, or you know, either that, or I would kind of just sit down and grab like, hey, what's like the great go-to source that I've been telling people, which is Elixir in Action, TM. This episode brought to you by Manning Press, I think.
We're getting sued.
They legally they can't sue us. But so my question for you is, yeah, what made you go to Claude for that instead of one of the boys or another source that you've used in the past?
Well, the second part of that question is pretty easy because Claude already has that source for the most part, right? Like it's already ingested that source on the internet that I would go to, especially if it's like anything before April of this year, I think is like the latest update. So that would be why I would avoid that one because there's no point from my perspective in doing extra work in searching 15 sites when I can have Claude search those 15 sites for me. And then I follow up on that. As for why I didn't involve the boys, it's during the workday, Some of you guys are on different time zones. This is 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hey, I'm going to win some Elixir. Well, you guys are in stand-ups and all those fun things. So that's pretty much the reason why I went that route. No other reason. No, not because I didn't trust you guys to give me good info. It's just time of day and ease of use. And I could do it when I'm like gone as well too. On my phone, whenever. Pretty quick. Because you can make a project right in Claude, and that's what I did. So I just made a project in Claude. It generated artifacts for me. Just kept it all in there.
Matt is giving you that smirky
Yeah,
smile,
it's just
like he's about to
it's
do
like,
it,
I
to
don't
do like a
like
pretty
this answer
nasty
at all,
comment.
Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
So
holding himself to give like a
yeah.
pretty nasty answer.
What you got, man? Let's hear. Let's hear.
No. So I mean, the first thing I was laughing about was just not wanting to disturb us during the workday or something. Like, you guys know me. Like, if I don't want to be gotten
Yeah.
a hold of, like, you can't get a hold of me. So
No,
that's never an issue really for me. I think it would have been great if you had just hit somebody up on pager duty or something and said, "Hey guys, I gotta ask you a couple questions."
Since I have access to Slack still, I guess I could have
That's true.
done something.
No, and I mean what I'm just laughing about is the the time zones and all of that. Like, it's easy enough to be like, okay, cool. This is something that I want to get an answer on. I'm going to just go to whatever I can do and get some answer right now. I still feel like personally in the same situation, I would have been brought that back to, the group chat that we all have and said like, hey, is there anything you guys would add to this? Does this make any sense at all? Am I tripping here? Is this a bad idea?
Yeah, I think if I had ran into a roadblock of like, oh shoot, I really am not grasping this concept, like I would have reached out to one of you guys. It's just it was easy to do and it was convenient and it was pretty much the convenience, like super easy to do. Type a prompt and wait for it to generate a course. Cool. I'll go do something else while it does it. That's great.
Yeah,
So,
but you have to take into account, Matt, that Josh is familiar with the Elixir ecosystem. So I guess that there was a question I wanted to ask. Do like when you were using Cloud for getting back into programming, did you put it a thought about if you like didn't know Elixir at all? Do you think Cloud would be very good and for from learning Elixir from scratch, or like
yeah.
as a previous Elixir developer, you look at the like the material that Cloud produced and say, hey, this is a good Elixir material. Because back on the day we knew like you read the same books that we read. Like
hmm
it's not like you were unfamiliar with a lot of things. It's just like you forgot a couple of things on syntax, maybe how to like set up a gen server from the top of your head. You still need to look at those things, like things like that.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I think the advantage to Claude doing this is that you can have Claude tailor it to your background. So I specifically said my background prior to Elixir was Python, and I worked in the sports industry specifically within like the online gambling, and I was able to tailor all the examples to that industry domain so that it was relevant. So it's like, here's what might be a bet slip, and then it's like showing me how you add things to a map or whatever to like, to build your bet slip. So it was able to correlate and make it relevant to my personal background as well as like my professional background. So there's things like that that you can't just do quickly by talking to, say, Matt. I mean, obviously, both of us working at the same company, that's maybe not the best example, but for other things, other industries, like it's very quick to like make it relevant to what you want at that exact moment. Yeah, and the examples were good. It wasn't like it was like this is terrible. It was legit. Like I remembered things after going through. It was like, oh yeah, that was great. I'm glad I did this. So yeah, it worked out pretty good. Yeah, and yeah, so that's the new job.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been good. I'm enjoying it. We're not doing a whole lot too crazy. We're using like Docker for our images and Kubernetes and whatnot, and yeah, pretty consistent environment. Not too many differences. Like we're able to deploy to our sandbox and everything quite nicely, quite easily, consistently. But maybe there's different ways of doing it. I'm not too sure. I just know like I'm familiar with Docker.
This is actually a perfect segue, Josh.
Yeah. Oh, why? What you got?
Well, because I wanted to talk to you guys about my sick new NixOS deployment process.
Okay.
And you're over here using Docker and Kubernetes and on the beaten path. So this machine that I'm using here, my personal laptop, has been running NixOS for maybe 6 months now. I forget exactly what happened with my last Linux distro that was on there, but one day the computer was basically just bricked. And so I was able to boot to the recovery drive, get all my files, and was like, all right, let's go all in on this NixOS stuff. So I've been using NixOS as like a package manager for all of my dot files and for all the programming environment stuff that I move around. And I've been using per project flakes. And so I can jump into any directory and it'll have all the versions of whatnot that I need pinned there, and it's good. And I can go in on this machine or any other machine that has Nix installed on it, and I'm good to go. And one of the things that I've always wanted to try was using Nix as a for running a production server, so not just running a local machine. I think it's actually probably better for just like a remote box versus like a consumer laptop, because there's a lot of rough edges there. So I had a personal project, which was actually one of my first or maybe second Phoenix projects, and I was getting that up to date, and I was playing around with some stuff on there. And so I went through all the effort of getting it up to date, and then I realized that I couldn't deploy it because the deployment process that I'd had set up for it was using Ansible and some other stuff that was like 3 machines ago. And at the time, I didn't. I had some stuff documented, but it wasn't documented well, and it was spread out in like 3 different places. And so I realized, I was like, okay, I just spent 2 or 3 afternoons bringing this project up to date, and now I can't even deploy it. I'm like, what am I doing here? So I used that as a motivator to say like, okay, well, let's see what would happen if I were to try to build a NixOS configuration for this and use that to deploy. And so there's a couple interesting things here. One of which is that you can use a third party. Garnix is the big one, and you would use that in the same way that you use like a Docker registry, where you have some job on your GitHub Actions that kicks off, that starts building all this stuff on their system. It would store the binaries, which is the equivalent of like the image, and then your server, when you want to sync, it would pull from that cache of pre-built stuff and then start running it. But I wanted something that was a little more just straight line A to B, and I found out that so I took like a $5 DigitalOcean droplet, just the cheapest little server you can get, and you can install NixOS on there. And then if you have the SSH key set up, once you have NixOS running there, what I can actually do is just on this machine right here in the directory, right after making some changes, I can run the rebuild command for that configuration. And instead of setting the target to be this machine, I just set the target to be the remote IP address, and my SSH keys allow it to connect. And what it essentially does is it uses like SCP under the hood to look at what's running on that server, look at what's built on my machine, see what's different, and then just copy over just the built binaries that it needs over there, and then restart the process. So the Postgres instance and the Phoenix app are actually set up with a systemd configuration. So it looks at those, it copies over the new binaries, and then it will just stop the server and start the new version of it. And it's not the most ideal thing, and I'm not sure how well this would play out with, there's a couple of tools that you can use for essentially if you have like a cluster and you have multiple machines. There's like a couple of tools people have written, but this is built into just the NixOS rebuild command. It's just a target flag that you pass, and you give it an IP address, and it just tries to connect and shove the files and then restart the services. And the fact that you don't need anything else, and it's not going from my machine, pushing to GitHub. GitHub's building some stuff. There's nothing being pushed to an S3 bucket. There's no other third party. There's nothing like, it's a little crazy because it's like setting stuff up on Nix isn't easy or mainstream, but it's such a straight line from my machine to that machine that you actually end up getting a lot of the cool things that you would like out of Ansible. So it feels like very old school, as well as being like configuration as code all that good stuff.
How
You,
does it handle process architecture automatically? Like your machine, you had a binary in a state, but the server might be in another architecture. Does it compiles to send back to the server in a different architecture?
I don't know if it could. They're both running like Intel x86-64, so that's not a problem. Um, I I don't know. I think if you were doing something that was cross architecture like that, that's where using something like building it on the GitHub Action or on Garnix and having all that would probably make more sense. The alternative is that you just send it the new configuration and have it build on there. So you could set it up so that this server just looks at this GitHub repo every minute, and if there's changes, it pulls them and rebuilds it. And that way, if there's a problem building, it's not going to stop your running processes. So I'm not exactly sure how you would what's the most straightforward way to do that cross architecture.
I want to know more about this, but I don't have a project to do anything with, you know? So it's like, I can read that doc, I can do the tutorial, and then I'll forget about it next week. I I don't have anything that I, like, I don't have a project that I could use this for. So, do you have any suggestions?
I mean, I always have a handful of random personal projects that I'm working on, and anytime there's something new that I want to play with, a lot of times there will be like, oh, hey, this project that I haven't touched in a year, this is the perfect thing that I always wanted to add to it, but never knew that I wanted to. And some of these are projects that it's like my internal personal task app. That's like, hey, cool, I wanted to play with Postgres full text search. Boom. That's what I used it for. And this is something that I'm dogfooding. So I think
Okay.
it's just a matter of like when you see something, bookmarking it in the back of your head for I'm gonna one day I'll get to try this.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, just having the project for it. In this case, this was exactly what happened. I'd thought about running NixOS on a server for the last year, maybe as like a hey, maybe one day I'll try that. And then when I had this project that I couldn't get my Ansible deploy working, I was like, well, now I know. Now I know what I'm gonna do.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I gotta find something, I guess. I don't really. It's hard to like be heads down at the new job and then want to come home and do something in your spare time, especially at the beginning. So eventually I'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually tend to work on personal projects when something on my current environment like bothers me up to a point to say, hey, I want to be lazy or I don't want to see this. Like past week, I spent almost 3 days working on installing our OSs in my Raspberry to install a proxy server because I use Samsung as my living room TV. But right now it's so baked into AdSense. Like I'm seeing a lot of content I don't want, and there's no way you can avoid that. And I figured out from reading Hacker News that it is possible if you have like your own proxy setup and you can block the ads by IP. But there is a problem that those IPs they are like switching like by the clock. But there is a guy who keeps maintaining a warm list of IPs, and you need to like create tasks for building that. So it was a lot of shell programming for me. Like that's what, and now it's living here right in front of me. So usually when I start a new project, it does have like a functional criteria in my current life. I'm not doing things like Matt, who's masochist for creating, spend a lot of time on something that he might not even use it. It's like Yagni, but with more steps.
He's got the domain knowledge now, even if he never
Yeah,
actually uses it in production or whatever. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with
I
that.
I I think it's a matter of hey, is this a project I want to make just because I think making it will be fun, or I'll finally get to try something that I've wanted to learn or wanted to have an excuse to dig into. And then there's the hey, I have a specific problem I'm trying to solve, and I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. And then there's the last category of like, look, I'm just trying to solve this problem, like, and I'm not trying to go outside the beaten path, and so, or go. I'm not trying to learn something new, and so, um, just for the sake of doing it. So it depends. I'll go back and forth between any number of these, but yeah, I'm lucky that I always have that itch to scratch, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Luis, what kind of ads are you getting down there that you didn't like down in like Brazil? What you got down there?
I don't know. Like, do you guys have Samsung TVs?
I mean,
Or
I
do
have.
you guys use TVs at all to use these media apps like Netflix, YouTube,
Um,
etc.?
I use Apple TVs and dumb TVs.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
for fuck's sake, Josh.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I just I know about the smart TVs up here and connecting to Wi-Fi, and so I don't
Yeah.
have those. Yep.
Yeah, bro. And I do not have a smart TV.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you have a VCR built in on your own TV.
Yep, I have my VCR. I have my little DVD player. Um, but yeah, so what kind of crazy ads have you been getting down there?
Besides like ads to their own content, like buy this smart freezer that lets you know you're out of lettuce, which is something I definitely did in my life. Every time you hover one of the apps on the TV, you have, like on YouTube, you see a lot of recommended videos, but it's not personalized. It's just like whatever they want to display. Even though I have my account linked on the app, and there was like a lot of trash propaganda, like uh, ads around like cruise, which is something I will never do because I cannot afford to spend like 10 days on the same place. And like eating and drinking, like I will definitely die in in that scenario. And there's other shitty YouTube content where people like go on a restaurant and they start to complain with the owner because they gave like a bad napkin. So
Hmm.
like this trash content that you literally will never see in your life, and you don't want to see that. Like it
Fair enough.
visually pollutes it like it's it's like me being a spoiled child and say, hey Samsung, it's not our place to show me to tell me what I want to see. Like here's what
Yeah,
I'm gonna do about it.
and that's one of those cases where it's so great that you're like, okay, I know there's got to be something that I can do to get around this. Whereas I have friends where I'll be at their house and they just have, maybe they have a smart TV, maybe they have a normal TV, and they're watching something on Hulu or whatever, and they're just, and I'm so used to ad block and just not watching a lot of regular TV. Like pretty much sports is the only time I watch TV, and that I'm watching on YouTube TV. So I'm not getting any personalized ads there. I'm just getting like the ads for the NFL game or whatever. But yeah, seeing how kind of like normal everyday people are just beaten over the head with these crazy ads in a TV that they already paid for. It's just, oh my god, it's just dystopian.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the business model for streaming companies right now is becoming very aggressive, like, for ads. Like right now, you have to pay extra price for not to see propaganda on a streaming you already pays.
Yeah.
So they
So did you?
literally want to force that on you.
So did you end up buying that fridge and getting it shipped to you?
I have two right now because they showed me different colors,
So you
and
didn't
I
want to
couldn't
risk.
decide for myself.
and
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
and that's after the first fridge already got stolen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You didn't want to risk getting the second one stolen?
No, no. The second
No.
one arrived. They had like a
Yeah.
little punches because probably they tried to hit the truck while they're passing the road. But it's fine. It's here, guys. That's my new fridge.
So like, okay, good
It's
luck
made
with
of food.
good luck with the fridge showing up. Any other non successful ventures?
Yeah. So for those who are curious, this episode was delayed for 2 weeks by two
What about
weeks
that?
because on the week we were about to record the first episode, my I bought a mic and it was about to arrive like Friday, Saturday before we met. And on the Friday, no, sorry, on the Saturday, I think, or Friday, I received the news that my truck was like uh, intercepted while while coming to my city, and they didn't know until up to Saturday if my mic was stolen or not. Alongside with my mic, I bought a couple of other maker chips, like another Raspberry, some sensors because I wanted to create a irrigation system for my plants, automated, and that was also installed too. But the new mic arrived this week, and my other microchips they were out of the stock, so I had to wait another 2 weeks until everything gets here. So yeah,
That's annoying.
Brazil shenanigans.
Brazil. Is this is a typical incident in Brazil? Are you scared of ordering anything there? Yeah.
it,
What's
it
what?
depends. Like I, if the thing like Brazil is a continental country, like you from like south to north, there's more territory than like U.S. or Canada, not just north, not east west. And if things are coming from like very far regions, the probability increases. But if like it's a short distance, it's usually because like the person who's coming from the north to the south, you will have to go through several roads. So the probability is just because it is bigger numbers. Like you spend more time on traffic, but usually like 98% of the time everything gets here. Like this case was like a very
Oh, this.
extreme exception.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was actually going to be like a follow up. Does this happen often? But it sounds like no.
Yeah, like
Yeah, when
I
we when we
It's
talk
like
about
the.
package theft here, it's the package got delivered and it's
Yeah.
sitting on the step outside of my house, and I live in a dense city, and there are guys that will just kind of like loop through neighborhoods grabbing packages. And when we say, "Oh, my package got stolen," like that's what we mean. We mean it was delivered and some individual stole it. And when you're talking about package theft, you're like, "Oh, an entire truck gets
You're
hijacked,"
you're
which to
talking.
me,
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
movie version of a package getting stolen.
exactly,
It's
yeah.
it's that's like the fantasy version, but no,
Yeah, Vin
that's true.
Diesel and the gang, they come
yeah,
up,
Exactly.
they've got the
exactly.
That's
hardware.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
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 In Brazil, we don't have like the U.S. culture of leaving the package on the doorstep. You usually like the delivery guy only delivers package by hand.
Yeah, that used to be how it worked here. And then when COVID hit, everybody started just getting everything delivered. And all the delivery companies just kind of said, hey, this is just how we do it now. Like your stuff will be on your step unless you've kind of paid extra or the
Got
sender
it.
has signified that it really needs a signature. And even then, all bets are off. It's for them, it's they drop it, they take a photo, half the time they don't, and they move on.
Same up here. Yeah, it's not great. And the best is when they have it in their hand and then they have that slip that they missed you in their hand and they don't bother to knock and they just put that slip on your door. That's super frustrating, especially when you can't drive anywhere to get it. Yeah. Okay.
But they created a whole new market, right? Because right now everyone has like that doorbell camera just to record when the package is delivered if someone steals it. So
Yes, that's true. Yes, I have the doorbell version of that as well. It has got like that AI tool in it to tell you that, this is a package or a dog. But that's like wrong half the time, three times maybe. What do we do? Do you guys trust that output from the doorbell? Like, I haven't really actually really tried it. I think I had it enabled once, and it flagged something as not a package. So I
Yeah,
gave up on that.
I mean, you know me. The last thing I want to have is a surveillance state on my own property. So
Yeah.
Plus,
Fair
plus
enough.
you
Fair
have
enough.
plus you have the best organic sensor for proximity on your doorstep. So
yeah,
every time
exactly.
someone
Luckily,
knocks on the curb,
yeah,
Yeah. No,
she's
that's true.
sleeping right here, and I'm hoping that a package that's out for delivery does not show up. Otherwise, she's gonna start barking like
Yeah.
crazy.
Fair enough.
Um,
Fair enough.
cool.
Cool. Well, I don't have a great segue into this, like the next topic, but I kind of am curious about, since we were talking about AI stuff earlier. This is just like a straight segue into it. Like, how do we treat our experiences with these AI tools? Like, do you trust what you're getting back from it? Do you trust that it's correct? What do you do if it's wrong? How are you guys treating these like
So yeah,
things that you're not expecting?
personally, I don't use any integrated into my editor AI, and I don't have it generate any code. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. I've experimented with it, and I might experiment with it a little more in the future. But right now, I'm convinced that writing the code by hand is going to be, for me at least, the most consistent output. That being said, I will lean towards, or I will try an LLM here or there for specific questions, especially the ones where I don't know what it is that I don't know. So if there's something that I don't know, but I know what it's called, maybe it's some specific tool or package I've heard of. If it's something where I know what it is or can kind of describe it, I'm just going to search it. If it's something where I don't even know what I'm trying to search, like I'm trying to find out how would you even go about doing XYZ? What are some different uh, ideas behind this? That's when I might go to an AI. I'll use like the built-in Kagi assistant, which you can select a few different models on, and it will have the new ones as they arrive. And so I don't have any, I don't have to go and juggle accounts with these different companies and deal with tokens or anything like that. It's just included as part of my Kagi subscription. I'm sure there's some kind of limit or some kind of bandwidth limit or rate limit on there, but I barely use these, so I've never even come close to running into it. Um, but so one of the things that's been more and more on my mind, and this is related to AI, but also outside of it, is just more of a focus on cutting your losses and avoiding that sunk cost fallacy. I think I've seen a lot of people where they get something that they're trying to make happen, and they maybe write a lot of code and then it doesn't work. Whether it doesn't compile at all, or it compiles but it keeps crashing, or it just doesn't do what they want, because they just try to do this big bang all at once. Now they've invested that. They've got this mindset that they probably just need to tweak one thing and then it'll work. And sometimes the best thing to do is to just cut your losses and start from scratch. And because obviously something you have in there isn't working. And the question is, which is going to be faster? Is it going to be starting over
Hmm.
from your last stable point, which is, and you guys know I'm a big Git guy. I'm all about structured commits and everything like that. So I always have an easy place that I can drop back to, right? And so for me, I've just been trying to be more mindful of, oh, if I'm trying to do something that's not quite working right, just cutting my losses. And this is where I kind of solidified what I call the three strike rule for any LLM usage.
Hmm.
Because so what the rule is you can go use an LLM, and if you want to use it to generate your code or just give you some answers on something, you get three shots. And so if you try a thing and it doesn't give you the result you want, or it's kind of wrong, or it's answering the wrong question, whatever, you say, okay, that's not what I meant, or here's the other info I left out, here's this. If it's still wrong, you get that third prompt. And then if that's not what you need, you close the tab, you walk away, and
Hmm.
you go back to your primary sources, or go back to old fashioned searching and maybe finding a forum thread or a GitHub issue conversation there. But with how there's so many people out there where I see where so much of what their workflow is based on is to try to um, trick good results from coming out. Whereas if you need to do all of that, maybe the fundamental thing you're trying to do is wrong. And so cut your losses. And that doesn't mean cut your losses, close the tab, and then start a new conversation with the AI. It means that in this case, like use it, but accept that this technology still ain't there yet. And if you're gonna need more than 3 prompts, that's not saying like only 3 prompts to get to where you're going. But if you have to keep telling it, no, that's not what I meant, just cut your losses.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like going to after the fourth Google search. Like if the first page didn't show what you need, the second and the third is just desperation.
See, that
Yeah, no,
used to
that's
be
fair.
true. Now
That's
the first
fair.
page is all ads and AI
Oh,
generated
ads,
nonsense
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
So
also true.
maybe you need to amend that so now it's the second page where it's the good stuff. But no, you're completely right.
Where do you find that the breakdown of the LLM output happens? Like, where do you find that the three strikes happen the most? In a complex task, in a data set that already exists, in finding something obscure. Do
Yeah,
you
I
have
mean,
any
for
examples?
me, since I'm not generating any code, the only time I'll have it generate code is I'm making some test data and I'm saying like, hey, I need a list of okay, so for like a task app, I need a list of task titles and dummy descriptions and format it so that it's each one of these things is an Elixir map and here's what that looks like. But I'm not using it to generate any code for me. And so I know with a lot of people they are doing that where they're generating something and it's completely wrong or it's close. But what I see most is more and more people where they're starting to have to come to terms with the fact that they've been 90% of the way there for a long time and they're just not actually getting any closer. And
Mm-hmm.
so they're in a place where they'd be much better off if they weren't using this at all, but because they've invested so much of the workflow into that, now the lift for them to get over that hump by themselves is going to be really really hard. So I think the big thing is when people are using this, whether it's like the not exactly vibe coding, but they're doing complete like agent driven development where they're just 90% of the way there for so long. I think that's just one of those places where you have to come to terms with the fact that this is not going to get you 100% of the way there. And you see
Mm-hmm.
people where, okay, you have a small project or a small module or a single function you're trying to get it to go for. Cool. Maybe you'll get great results with that. But after that, there's just a point where you're trying to get it to do too much. And no matter how much you tell it exactly what you're looking for, that's just being outweighed by all the other things that it has in its training data. And you're
Yeah.
you're just not going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's true. I've
yeah.
noticed that if there's subtly, that's not the way to say that. I noticed that if there's concepts in the code that are very subtly different, it gets very easily confused. And it'll just interchange those two concepts for funsies, and it really just breaks the world. Like it's not great. I think a good example would be if it's looking at a map that's using atoms for the fields or versus strings, and then it's like it doesn't know which one to use all the time. It converts, and yeah, it's not great at inferring that in my experience.
As a backend developers, I feel like using AI the way Matt described, like you keep prompting it to like trying to refine the thing up to a point where it's actually usable, but you never get there because it's just creating more noise. It's like the description from a guy I saw on Hacker News saying that using AI to like refining things is like doing CSS. You keep adding one more pixel and then eventually you break the entire grid. So it's something
That's
like
fair.
that.
This is
And
so
and
This is
you
so funny
don't
because
know
that's
where the
exactly what I
breakpoint
was
is.
thinking while you were describing that. I was like, you just described what it feels like, and this is fresh in my mind because I was just doing some CSS on something earlier, where it's you're trying things and you're refreshing in your browser and it doesn't work, and then you're going back and just grabbing other random snippets or properties and trying that. Like that's most people's CSS workflow. And I think that the industry is going to be in a bad place if that workflow and that mindset like pollutes literally everything we're doing.
Yeah,
It feels like that's the case.
yeah, I do believe.
Well, that actually brings me to the next thing I wanted to share. So
Well,
there,
I know Luis is was trying to say that we interrupted him twice. So you
No,
sorry.
say what
no,
you're going to
go
say,
go
Luis.
go ahead, go
Okay,
ahead. No,
go,
it's
man.
just a minor comment. Go ahead.
Sorry, my connection I think is getting kind of spotty here because you guys, I feel like you're on a little bit of a delay. So
Nope. Yeah, go for it, man.
okay, so recently there's an article in the registry where Amazon Web Services CEO has suggested that firing junior workers because AI can do their jobs is, quote, the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And so this is the first CEO I've seen actually with a legit take on this topic. So he says, how's that going to work when 10 years in the future you have no one that has learned anything? He asked. My view is you absolutely want to keep hiring kids out of college and teaching them the right ways to build software and decompose problems and think about it just as much as you ever have. He's also not keen on another idea about AI, which is measuring value by what percentage of code it contributes as an organization. He said it's a silly metric. Organizations can use AI to write infinitely more lines of code. It could be bad code, which that one is like the most obvious part. But when people talk about, hey, this is truly revolutionary, this is writing 80% of the code at our company, it's like, yeah, but what's the quality and what what does it matter if you're producing the same amount of code that you would or more code at lower quality? So
Hmm.
I just think this is crazy because this is the first time I've seen a CEO with a legit take, and I wanted to see what your guys' reactions were.
So, like, my first thought is he's talking about the now, and he alludes to 10 years in the future when no one knows anything, but he's not thinking 10 years in the future when the tools that we have now are 10 years better. So yes, he's right, but he's referring to the now scenario. In 10 years, it may not matter. It may be better to have that tool as opposed to like let a human do it. It's too hard to say what happens in a decade in tech when tomorrow everything could change again. Like ChatGPT 6 could come out tomorrow. It's not going to, but it could, just like the first one did. Yeah, Luis.
Yeah, I think we are going through a cultural shift in the way people treat. Is Matt frozen for you?
I think we lost connection, but I'm back, baby.
Oh, okay,
It would have uploaded him. I'm sure.
okay, yeah, he's back. But I guess we're going through a cultural shift right now, in the tech industry, which was like think back 2010, 2012. What was tech back then like, in the sense of the things we had as a tool to provide support in your day-to-day work versus what we have right now? Like, I remember clearly seeing a lot of tools that promised speeding up like code reviews a lot by analyzing the code for the companies and providing like insights like code coverage or security flaws. But in reality, like, these tools exist for so long, and we still see people delivering code that is insecure. There's like almost no code coverage. Uh, I think in reality is what's the price for these tools will be in the future, because I know that companies avoid using these on their end because there's contracts behind it and they're expensive. ChatGPT is trying to gain market by being cheap, but it's the same. It is the same strategy that Uber did a while ago, while you are like doing cheaper travels when compared to like regular taxis. And right now their prices are almost the same. So we don't know if the tool will be more powerful in the future. It probably will be. At the same time, that we need to know when this bill will start to pay for itself, because right now we know how expensive maintain an AI is. Like how we know how expensive like each prompt is for an AI infrastructure. So it all depends, but we just need to like as developers we need to understand the better usage of a tool. If
Yeah, absolutely.
ChatGPT or tools to improve your productivity um, in your day to day is something that you can naturally add to your development process, I guess that's where the fine grain for these tools is in general.
Josh, what is your take? If you were the CEO of a company, would you keep hiring juniors? Would you pair them up with seniors? Would you pair seniors up with AIs? Some other combination?
I think I would probably have to pair them with seniors along with seniors for growth, AI for how to say this, for like the mundane day to day stuff, right? So I see it as like you're pairing a junior with a senior the um, to learn from the mistakes of that senior. So the senior's done it. They've gone through the deployments, they've gone through the calls, the debugging, the I broke this in the middle of the night. You learn from them. You learn what not to do. You learn how to handle yourself as a developer. This is what you do on call. This is like how you prepare for it. Things like that. The AI tool, I think, is more of a here's a function. Help me refactor it. What could possibly go wrong? Look up some stuff about this for me real quick. I don't think the junior should be driving with the AI. They should definitely be using it as like the passenger with the map, and then you're double checking or something. Like there's just no way. There's just too much stuff that happens in your career or anyone's career to to know that coming out of school. Like there's just everything that we've learned has come from our mistakes and things to we've heard from other people. Like it's invaluable for ensuring that your output is high quality and that you trust it, even if you're using the AI tool. Is that a good function? Is this too nested? Like maybe sure I could figure it out as a junior. Maybe I can make some decisions, but like the subtleties and nuances of it would be lost on me. Yeah, that's my take on it. I definitely would still be hiring juniors, but I'm also thinking in terms of like social responsibility at the same time. We can't just like not hire junior developers anymore. We can't just not hire people in these entry level positions because they're being replaced by AI. Because like, well, what are they going to do? Where's their income coming? Where's their contribution back to society in terms of consuming things, et cetera, et cetera? Like, we can't start down this road of like eliminating all these entry positions in the name of profit and velocity, and then expect the rest of society to be in good shape. Like, it's just this is a downward spiral if we don't do something about it now.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing there is you're basically placing a bet, right? And so you're betting if you're going all in on all these tools and you're not hiring the future generation of people. It's the old joke of like if we evolve from junior developers, why are there still junior developers, right? It's
Sure.
because there's the next generation of them.
Yeah.
And if you try to cut them out of the loop now, when your current crop of mid-level and senior developers start phasing out into the next chapter of life, into retirement, they get hit by that mythical bus factor bus, they move on, whatever, you're going to look around and say, wait, there's nobody else here, and you're going to be really disappointed. So one of the best analogies I've heard is that hiring a junior developer or like somebody starting their career is like planting a tree. You're not doing it because you're going to get a return on that investment today. You're doing that so that in 5-10 years, now you have a tree. The first couple of years, you're not going to be getting anything from it, but it's going to grow into so much more than you could have ever gotten. Um, So I think one of the other aspects there is that anybody who says one way or the other that they know what's going to happen is obviously full of shit. No one knows what's going to happen. Like somebody could have a breakthrough and give us AGI before this podcast ever even comes out, or we could be at the point of diminishing returns and the bubble could pop in 10 days. And Luis touched on this, where these things are expensive. They're being subsidized right now. Even if the models never got any better and the price stayed the same, and people were running them on their own GPUs or their own data centers, whatever, there's still going to be a limit with what you can do with that. You can't hold that LLM responsible in the same way that you can hold a person responsible. It's never going to grow and adapt past where it is now. Like, yeah, you can fine tune it. You can find the tricks of the trade where you're adding the document in the right place and giving it the REG so it can find the things in your company playbook. But that's not going to be any replacement for somebody who's been with your company, been with your product, been with your team, knows how to talk to other people, knows how to talk to actual users, figure these things out, solve the problems, get woken up in the middle of the night like we all have, all of that stuff. You can't put an LLM on call and just give it the keys. Is it going to be better than some people that we know that are on call? Sure, but you can't rely on that. The other big thing that no one talks about is that tools like Claude have only been out for not even a year yet.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are doing like very heavily agentic driven development, we don't know what it's like to maintain those products or projects long term because that hasn't been around long term.
Yeah.
And there's so many factors of, you have whatever salary you would pay a person, comparing that to whatever the costs of running your model are. And that's just at today. But then you have to project throughout your calendar of, okay, this other person is growing, and the ability of what they're able to do, as well as their knowledge that they're gaining of your industry, of your company, of your people, of your product, of the past mistakes that you guys have made, both from a product perspective and a technical decisions, those mistakes, and that culture of why we did something a certain way, whether that's the way we decided was best or that was the only way we knew how. All of these things, like, there is a huge brain drain when somebody who knows all that leaves your company, and everyone feels it. Like, Luis, I just think about the last time when you went on a vacation where you were actually unavailable and you were totally offline. That alone put like such a spotlight on all these things where it was like, oh, Luis is the only one who even knows the answer to that, let alone the question, right? So I think that there's no way to measure the long-term like degradation and tech debt that over reliance on these tools is going to put into your system, and then trading that against how much any one person at your company is going to grow. I think if you take a crop of, I don't know, 10 new developers, 3 of them are going to be a total bust, and they're going to be more trouble than they're worth in any task you give them to, and you're going to wish you didn't have them. And those are the people where it's like, okay, maybe weed those people out. Then you're going to have like the middle of the pack where it's like they're all going to be sustainable. They might not be doing anything heroic, but they're getting the job done. They're contributing, and they're just making positive impact, and they're outweighing their cost. And then you're going to have a couple people who are just going to be the guys who put the team on their back. They stay late, they start early, they are learning all kinds of crazy things in their own free time and bringing that back in and feeding that back into the company and just elevating everybody around them. And I think that when you have an LLM or any of these other tools, it's like being able to have a slightly more effective car, whereas investing in your people is like being able to get better directions somewhere. It doesn't help you if you have the fastest car and you have no idea where you're going.
Yeah, for sure. I've noticed that maintainability issue. You just, even in my own personal experiments, like I did that tag game, right, in Godot, and making it like refactor the highlighted ring around the person being tagged was ridiculous. Like, I spent more time than I'm willing to admit on on it, to be honest with you. Like, just back and forth of like, no, that's not quite right. Oh, you made it a disc that like intersects the thing. No, that's not right either. Like, yeah,
So let
yeah,
me
it
Yeah,
let
gets
me ask
messy.
you
on
this.
the I have one thing on the
Yeah,
topic
go,
of
Luis.
maintaining. Uh, like there's still more studying to happen, but recent studies like realized that the way that people absorb information generated by AI in the context of development, they have like a lower, like a way smaller retention retention span for the information they put on code with AI. So let's say
Agreed.
you are building something, you generate like 1,000 lines of code. Uh, in a week, it's probably the probability that you forgot like 80% of that is very high. Like from my personal experience, that seems true because the people I know that use AI heavily, and when they're questioning about like certain aspects of the code they delivered, they don't know. They have to spend like if not the same, a huge amount of time than someone that doesn't have that does have like that zero context on the code they produced. So
This, sorry.
what is productivity here? Like, is
Yeah,
productivity like delivery or maintain? Because those concepts are close, and at the same time, they are very different.
yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
you wanted to say
Very
something?
true. Um, no, I've totally just lost that. I should have written it down. Nope, don't remember what I was going to ask you. Oh, nah, shoot, that was dumb. Should have written it down. It's gone. It's gone. Okay,
Well,
well, apparently it
we
wasn't important enough.
well, we are at about an hour here. I don't know
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what
no,
time we hit record.
yeah, no, we are 1:17, so we're definitely over the hour. I guess we should wrap things up, and I'll do that with a quick Kindle check. What you guys reading?
Yeah, so what I've got on my Kindle, and I'll this can leapfrog into a whole nother conversation, which we'll try to
Sure,
curtail.
episode
But
2.
I'm reading the Postgres documentation on my Kindle
Nice,
just a little bit
nice.
every day,
Okay,
and then
PG
I have
Docs, nice.
yeah, and I will share. I hopefully will figure out how to do show notes, but I'll share where I got the ebook version of the docs for any of you sickos out there that want to read the docs on your Kindle and not on your laptop. But
Nice.
it's been interesting so far, and I've been learning a lot of things. So and then personal fiction, I'm reading straight old school paper. So
Fair enough, fair enough.
Nice.
Luis, what you got? Any
I'm
books on the
reading.
go?
I'm reading Network and Programming in Elixir. It's a new book. And for and I'm also reading the Istio manual to understand a bit better. Like we use Istio at work, but I don't know how Istio works. I just know it works. I'm trying to understand how it works and why it works, because I can give you arguments on why you use Istio, but if you ask me, like, are these strong arguments for using Istio, like for anyone outside your work? I don't know. Like, if anyone has a counter argument that seems slightly better than mine, I will know. I don't know, like, how to debate around that. So that's what I'm
Fair
trying
enough.
to get up in here. And like for bedtime, I'm reading again and Brothers Karamazov from Dostoevsky.
Nice. I don't have any fiction on the go, but I am reading the Values book by Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister. Starts off with a lot of like economic fundamentals, so like how values given to money and where that's derived from, and the central banks, and it's very interesting. It's a lot of it's over my head. I'm not very much of an economics major, not even a minor for that matter. So it's a lot of historical context, and we'll see what the rest of the book brings.
Nice.
well,
Not too
don't feel
bad.
bad
Not too
because
bad.
no one understands the economy.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I mean, he should, if anything, because he was the central banker for Canada and Great Britain. So if anyone's going to have an understanding of of banking at economic scale, it would be this guy.
He's not trying to understand economy. He's trying to be better at faking it.
Yeah, yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. It's all just games, anyways. All right, guys, that was fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
All right.
We'll see you guys
Let's
next
go.
time.
Yep. Have a good one all.
See you guys.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Peace.
Cheers. Bye.